Welcome to another episode of Should You Take That Case with your host, Lisa Wade, your friendly neighborhood legal nurse consultant, owner of Wade Nurse Consultants, and creator of our private LinkedIn community, the Attorney Medical Record Resource Group. That is where we get all of our stellar attorney guests. The goal of our show is to be a resource for legal professionals who pursue medical cases by sharing their experience and insights as defense or as plaintiff attorneys. You can catch prior episodes at www.wadenurseconsultants.com/blog on LinkedIn and on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. Now here's the host of Should You Take That Case, Lisa Wade.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Medical Record Monday and your brand new episode of Should You Take That Case. It's me, Lisa Wade. I am your host, legal nurse consultant, medical record expert, and the owner of Wade Nurse Consultants. Think of us attorneys when you have those piles of medical records that you need translated into normal human language, easily understood by judges and juries. Visit us at wadenurseconsultants.com. We use this week, this Monday, every Monday, as an opportunity to get to know one another. All of the attorney guests that come on this show are also a part of our private LinkedIn community, the Attorney Medical Record Resource Group. It's a wonderful group. Visit us on LinkedIn, the Attorney Medical Record Resource Group. That's where all of my wonderful attorney guests come from. And we use this as an opportunity to get to know one another. We're going to do that today with Peter J. Carman. But before we get to Attorney Carman, we're going to scoot over to the comments section and see if anyone is visiting us live today. If you are an attorney, put an A into that comment section, that chat. If you're a paralegal, put a P. But if you are part of a wonderful group that I am a part of, Women-Owned Law, put a W into that chat so we can see you and say hello and welcome you today. Because Women-Owned Law is a wonderful, groundbreaking group created to advance and connect women legal entrepreneurs. So visit us at womenownedlaw.org if that's something you want to learn a little bit more about. I want to thank everybody that's tuning in live or catching us on the replay. Thank you for taking time out of your very busy days to be with us. It's appreciated. But now it's time to introduce our attorney guest for today. Attorney Peter J. Carman is a 2001 graduate of the Columbus School of Law, the Catholic University of America Evening Division. After undergraduate at UW-Madison and while in law school, Attorney Carman worked as a paralegal specialist and then a law clerk for the Office of Professional Responsibility, U.S. Department of Justice in Washington, D.C. Attorney Carman is a litigator focusing his practice on both the representation of individuals in personal injury and workers' comp claims and defense personal injury matters. Having opened his own solo practice in Appleton, Wisconsin in November of 2013. And now I bring to you Attorney Peter Carman. There you are, Peter.
Hi, Lisa. Thanks for having me.
Oh, well, thanks for coming. I'm glad you're here. And you let me know the weather is a little gloomy and in the 40s.
It is, yep. It's pretty dark now. So usually it's 4:20 our time. By 5 o'clock, it's pitch dark, a little depressing.
That's true. Well, the same thing's happening in Pennsylvania. So we're on the same page as far as that goes.
Right.
Well, I'm going to get all of the juicy details from you about how you deal with medical records when they pop up during litigation. But first, we want to hear all about you. We want to know, how did you get to be an attorney? Was it planned from infancy, or was it something you just fell into? Tell us more about you.
Well, I can honestly say that I first thought about being a lawyer when I was probably about 5 years old, and I saw the movie To Kill a Mockingbird. Who wouldn't want to be that lawyer? Kind of standing in the breach, trying to help a person who isn't represented well in society. And my father's also a lawyer, so I had that as an example. So that kind of gave me a little bit of an inkling that that's probably what I want to do. I always like to argue. I like to talk in front of people, things of that nature. And I always had a desire to help people. So that's really what led me into being a lawyer. But in terms of what I do now in my practice, I wish I could say that was planned in a concerted effort, but it was more happenstance.
Ah, well, it sounds like a bit of a family legacy.
A little bit.
A little bit. Oh, all right. I'm so glad. And how about the cases that you take? How do you decide? And let us know if a case is a good case, a not so good case, or not a case at all. How do you make those decisions about what you take or don't take?
Well, it's both fact intensive, a little less than of what the law says about it than you might think, but then also personalities. And what I mean by that is when I represent individuals in either a personal or a work injury case, I'm going to base my decision whether to take that case, of course, on the strength of the liability evidence. As an injured person in our state, you have to be 50% or less at fault in order to get any kind of recovery. If you're 51 or more, you get barred. So I'd need to make that determination. Then I look at the strength of the medical evidence. Does the injured person have treaters that will relate their injuries to their personal or work injury? And then finally, I kind of look at, and this is kind of in a way almost the most important thing, I look at the credibility of the injured person. Does their story make sense? Are they honest, trustworthy? Are they compelling? Are they sympathetic? Do our personalities mesh well? Are we going to be able to work together? Because being a solo, I need that person to carry some of their own water and help me push the case along. So that's very important. And then I usually only refer a work or injury case on to other lawyers if I feel I can't devote the time necessary, to that particular case that it would deserve due to my caseload or other pressing cases I may have. And then also, certain practice areas are difficult, like medical malpractice and workers' comp. They both have specialized rules and procedures that you need to follow, and you really should know something about that. So like in my case, when I did a lot more defense work, my first 12 years in practice, I did about 4 or 5 years of medical malpractice defense. But I never brought a medical malpractice case myself. So I'd refer that kind of case because there's a minefield of special rules that require specialized knowledge and time frames and things like that to properly represent those individuals.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you try and establish a relationship with your client to see if you can work together.
Right. That's the most important.
All right. I'm so glad. That sounds like an excellent way to do business, I think. Well, now once, or while you're deciding, medical records start flowing in, I'm trying to see if you have a special procedure or a special protocol to handle those records, something that makes sure that you get all of the juicy details out of there that you need to prove your case or to really look and make sure you have a case. What kind of procedure do you go through when reviewing medical records?
Right. I probably should have a more formalized one than I do. And if finances would allow it, probably hiring someone like you to do that initial swipe to get all the records, do the initial medical analysis, because you're more the medical expert than I am. But sometimes, especially when you're representing individuals, what you're going to get back in the case just doesn't allow for that kind of outlay because you want to be cost conscious. So in both my personal injury and work injury cases, I start out by inquiring whether the person's treater supports causation in the case, like we talked about. And then if they do, then I ask the individual, the injured person, if they have any of their own records related to that accident, that sort of thing, and ask them to get them to me so I can do an initial run through so I can gauge the strength of the medical support for their claim and whether there's a reference to any relevant pre-existing medical conditions or issues that are going to need to be explained later on in the case. And then if those items check out, and once the individual's at an end of healing, which is also known as maximum medical improvement, I obtain a complete list of all their treaters, pharmacies that they consulted with in relation to their accident. I get written authorizations from them to get those records and their bills. And then I review the records in the bills as they come in, just to reaffirm what I originally thought about, how good the case was, that kind of thing. And if anything changes along the way, I communicate with my client.
All right. Well, it sounds like you do have a procedure, and and if you're taking cases, it sounds like you take a narrower kind of cases, so it's something you can work on yourself.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I try to keep my caseload fairly small. Around 50 cases of all the different types of law I do is probably my limit for my assistant and myself to do well, that sort of thing.
All right. It's good to know what you can handle. All
Right.
right. All right. Now, when you are working on these records and you're reviewing them, is there something that you find that is a pet peeve for you, or something puzzling or bothersome when you have to dive into these medical records?
Sure. When I had less experience, was the medical terminology, having to look things up, every 10 seconds or what have you. And even that's a lot easier now. I've been a lawyer for 21 years. In the old days, sometimes you'd have to go to the books or whatever. Now you can pretty much Google things and get at least a base knowledge of it. So it was that. But now it's really having to contact multiple facilities to ensure that I have all the certified records and bills that are going to be relevant to my client's case. And then I have to oftentimes wait 30 days or more once I send out that request to get what I need. And then even then, I often have to call these facilities and say, like, I sent this to you, 35, 40 days ago. Can I get this? And then sometimes it takes another 30 days or 90 days. Although that's getting better now that more facilities are doing electronic records, it seems to be a quicker turnaround. And they're also, treatment facilities are having the records handled by big box clearinghouse places like SIOX and places like that, who have a much more streamlined process. So it makes it a little easier, and they understand better what lawyers need than I think originally the medical providers on their own did. But there's still that waiting game. There's still sometimes they misunderstand what you need. And sometimes when you get the records and bills, they're difficult to understand and place in logical order. Especially you probably see this when you get hospital records. They have all this gobbledygook, all this chart and stuff that could be thousands of pages. So they send you 5,000 pages of records, and you're lucky if 500 of them are relevant.
I'm with you. I know what you mean. But it's also easier for me because I know just what I'm looking for. So I understand it can be troublesome, definitely. So you've given a lot of good information. You've told us how you work up cases. You tell us how you decide if the case is for you or if you need to refer it out. You've given wonderful information. Do you have any more advice for newbie or veteran attorneys when they have these cases that have medical issues and medical records? Do you have any more advice for them to decide if they should take those cases or pass them on? Something you haven't done yet.
Right. Use your resources. Talk to lawyers within your firm, other lawyers you may know that may specialize in areas you're thinking getting into, that kind of thing. And most lawyers are willing to answer a lot of questions in that regard, because if you specialize in an area of practice like I do, you want to make sure that people that are coming in to do it here and there, that kind of thing, are as competent as they can be. And really refer on cases that are beyond your experience level or expertise to more experienced lawyers that specialize in those particular areas. Like we talked about with workers' compensation, medical malpractice cases. Both those areas have special rules that require specialized knowledge in order to properly represent the people that have those cases. But again, if you decide to take those cases, make sure you identify mentors in those practice areas that are willing to spend time with you, the necessary time to allow you to render competent and effective representation, because that's what these people deserve. That's what you trained to do. And if you don't do that, there can be consequences in terms of your license and things of that nature. Having people that you're trying to help, you make a mistake and then they have no choice but to sue you for committing malpractice. So you want to avoid those situations.
That sounds like good and thoughtful advice. I hope they're listening to you. Well, we are at the point in our show when it's time for a little Q&A. And are you ready for a few questions, Peter?
Yeah, we'll see what I know.
All right. Well, while everybody is out there getting your questions together for Peter that you're going to put into the comments section, it's time for what I call a little sponsor break, where I tell you a little bit about Wade Nurse Consultants and what we do here, and then we get right back to Peter. All right. Now, without a review and summary of the medical records, it could be harder for you, personal injury and med mal attorneys out there, to know if you should take that case. And here at Wade Nurse Consultants, we give attorneys a 1 to 2 page synopsis and opinion regarding the merits of those medically related cases by using my 30 plus years of nursing experience to make quick work of those medical case screenings. So if you are listening to this and you already have your own nurse paralegal on the payroll, this isn't for you. But if you have a large backlog of cases to be screened, this is what you need to do. Inside the description box of this YouTube channel, you will find a link to schedule a 20-minute medical record strategy call, which can help you hone an efficient, timely, and cost-effective routine around your medically related cases. Just click on that link and schedule that call. And now back to Peter Carman. Let's see, Peter, if there are any questions for you today. Let me take a peek. And no, we don't have any questions.
Okay.
No. People are catching us on the replay, so I have an idea. This is what I usually do. In the description box of this YouTube channel, you will find Peter Carman's contact information. Look him up, and then if you have any questions, just ask him directly and he will answer them. Is that a good plan, Peter?
That'll work.
All right. I think it will. So I do have a question for you, though.
Okay.
And that is, will you come back and do this show again?
Well, it depends on what you're going to ask me next time.
But
yeah,
probably. We can work that out then.
All right.
All right. So I would love to have you back, and we'll talk in 2023.
Sounds good. Have happy holidays.
Oh, you too. Well, since we are winding up this show, I'm just reminding everybody out there catching us live or on the replay to watch the show, like it, subscribe to this YouTube channel, Lisa Wade LNC. And if you have any legal nurse consulting questions, there is my email, lisa@wadenurseconsultants.com. Think of us when you have those. If you have any need for any testifying expert witnesses, we locate those for you too. So now we're winding up. Catch us next week, Monday, 5:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a brand new episode of Should You Take That Case? Thanks for coming.
Thanks for watching and listening to another episode of Should You Take That Case with your host, Lisa Wade, your friendly neighborhood legal nurse consultant, owner of Wade Nurse Consultants, and creator of our private LinkedIn community, the Attorney Medical Record Resource Group. That is where we get all of our stellar attorney guests. The goal of our show is to be a resource for legal professionals who pursue medical cases by sharing their experiences and insights as defense or as plaintiff attorneys. You can catch prior episodes at www.wadenursconsultants.com/blog, on LinkedIn, and on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. Thank you for subscribing to our YouTube channel and sharing this show with others.